I am super excited to be joining you here tonight, and I have a special guest with me. I can't believe it. It's Friday night, and guess who's here? We've got Chris Noggle in the house. He is going to be talking to us about infinite banking, and you guys are asking me this question, all of these questions every day. And hello. I appreciate you guys joining. Please say hello. I'll give you all a second here to sign on. I know that we are running behind and it is my fault. I was supposed to have been like right on at 8 and it didn't happen. So I apologize for that. You know what? That's just what happens when you get older. I can't use technology and don't want to be honest with you. Hello, I'm stoked for Chris, Derek says. I'm stoked too. I always get excited talking to Chris because he brings so much to the table and he gives me so much to think about. So I don't know if you guys saw a video that I posted that Chris and I did. It's been a couple of weeks ago, but it's called One Change. If you have not seen that, you have got to go watch that video because in that he literally broke down how he helped a chiropractor get out of debt.
I've gone through the whole gamut of spending 16 years in the Wall Street world as an advisor, and just so everybody knows, not one time in 16 years as a high-level financial advisor was I shown what you're about to learn tonight. So don't think this is part of like the curriculum that advisors know about, that maybe they're just not telling you. They are not taught this because there's no money in it for them in their brokerage. So what you're going to learn is something that's been largely, known about in the wealthy echelons, the elite echelons out there, but it's been brought down to the middle class and to all of us by a man by the name of R. Nelson Nash, the late R. Nelson Nash, who pioneered what they call the infinite banking concepts in the late 90s and brought it to the world with his book, Becoming Your Own Banker. And essentially, I am just a component of teaching what he started so long ago and caring about his legacy. And that's what you're going to hear tonight. But you're going to hear it in a very different way than Nelson taught it, because I do it differently. Obviously, I try to make it a lot simpler. I mean, I do this every day, all day. I've been using this in my own life, and we've helped tens of thousands of people do this. So I don't really need a direction to go. I mean, you just point me in a direction and I will go. My goal and my objective for everybody here, and this is so cool that we get to do this on a Friday night, outside here, it's snowing really heavily. It's surreal outside, but I'm pumped to be here. And all I want to accomplish is, in the simplest way possible, I want to show you all a way to take back control of your money. And I'm going to show you how to do that by simply teaching you how to change one thing. That is it. And add one step. That's all we need to do. We need to change one thing about how we do money, and we need to add one step. And if you can change one thing and add one step, then you are going to have a lot of success with this. But that's my objective, is to, in a simple way, show you what the infinite banking concept is. And I'd love to, if it's okay with you, kind of show that chiropractor example. And I mean, listen, if we got time, I'd like to show everybody how to get all the money back for every car they buy, drive, and own, because I think we all have cars and we all will buy more cars. So that's a pretty usable tactic that I think everybody will benefit from. But what I want to do is just show you what this is and how it works. And I also want everybody to know this isn't just for the wealthy. I get that a lot. I've heard that a lot recently. They're like, oh, I can't do that. I don't make enough. I don't have enough to save. Listen, like, this is for just about everybody. Now, I'm not going to say there are some people that are just not ready for this yet. That is definitely a thing. But for the most part, even if you're not ready, once you learn it and you understand it, it's just a matter of getting yourself to that next level where you could start doing this. And let me make it simple. So this is who it works for. It works for just about anybody, as long as they're saving money. Because if you're not saving money, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, it's pretty difficult, because we are building a banking system, or quote unquote mimicking what the banks do. So in order to build a banking system, you kind of have to be able to save money. Now, you don't need a lot. And let me take you all back a little bit, and I'm not going to give my whole bio tonight. If you want to know who I am and where I come from, watch my YouTube channel, and believe me, you'll get the whole story. But when I first started, and this is a long time ago, I don't even know how many years, 15 years ago, just so you all know, I started doing this with $240 a month. By all intents and standards, a lot of people would think that's not even enough, to do anything. But I started with that. And now today I have 14 of these policies. I have 2 on my daughter, and she's 4.5 years old, and 3 on my wife. So if I can start that long ago with 240, I think all of you will be able to start. Sorry, I didn't catch that one in time. So here's how it works, folks. So pay attention, because I'm gonna just kind of walk you through what you already do today. I'm gonna give you a prediction of, I know what every single one of you do with money, because it's simple. All of you go out there and you do something with trading time for money. So you go out there, you work a job, you run a business, you have a side hustle, and you do that to make this stuff, money. Now, if you're in a different country, awesome. Your money is just a different color, or it looks a little differently, but it's all the same, because money, this is nothing more than a means of exchange. All we do with this is exchange it for goods and services. Money, food for money, money for food, or car for money, money for car. We just exchange it. But here's what you do. You work really hard for it. And then what you've been taught your whole life is to take this stuff that you've earned and do what with it? Who can tell me what you do with your money? Because I know what it is. You rush over to the bank, the traditional bank, and you give them your money. They call that a deposit, and you feel super good. So good that every time you're there, right up to your right-hand side, it's always on the right, are those little suckers. And have you ever read the wrapper on the sucker? Every traditional bank outside of credit unions that I've ever been to has one brand of sucker. Who can tell me what kind of suckers they offer?
Dummies.
Dumbs. I'm not saying that's intentional, but maybe we should pay more attention. But what we do is we give our hard-earned dollars to the bank, and we give that to them because they do one of 2 things. Number one, they give us interest on our money. So how many of you are earning interest on your money at the bank? In a checking account, most everybody's earning 0. But in a savings account, most of you are probably earning something. We just did a video showing the average over 10 years. It was 0.43%, so less than 0.5%. But I know some of you today have found those high yield savings, which will be gone here today, gone tomorrow. They certainly will not be around long. But you might be getting 2, 3, 4%. And kudos to you if you are. That's how the banks get us. They take our money, we give it to them, which means if you read the fine print of your checking account application, you gave up control of your money. Let me prove that, because I know all of you are like, I didn't give up control. I can go back to that bank and get my money anytime. Wrong. That is a false pretense. You cannot just walk into the bank and take all of your money at any given time you want. And if you don't believe me, try it. Put more than 10 grand in a bank account, walk into that bank on any random day, I don't care what day of the week it is, and try to take all of your money out. You probably got about a 50-50 chance or less of that bank giving you all of your money. Maybe 10 grand, but definitely not 20, definitely not 50. No matter how much you have, the more you have, the less of a chance that bank will give you your money. Because here's why. When you put your money in that bank account, you gave the bank control of your money. Don't believe me? If you don't think the bank has control of your money, then why does the bank not have to call you when the bank turns right around and lends your money out on a car loan, a mortgage, a boat loan, a debt consolidation loan? They don't have to call you. They don't have to notify you. Nope, but that is your money. You gave up control. And I know the bank's paying you, let's say 4%. Okay, let's pretend you found yourself a really good bank. The bank's paying you 4%. Can you go to any bank in this country and borrow money from that bank for less interest than what they're paying you on your deposits? No, absolutely not. The bank, if it's paying you 4, is charging you 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% on your money, because that's how a bank operates. And it's okay. That's them making a spread. That's how they make money. But we allow that. Right. Now, let me pose a question to you. Just imagine if you could reverse the roles. Imagine if you could be the one that has the bank, and you don't need the brick and mortar bank. You don't need to own the land. You don't need the staff. You don't even need the dumb suckers. Matter of fact, skip the dumb suckers. But just imagine if you were the bank, and every time you used your money, you made a spread. And now imagine every year that goes by in your life that spread gets bigger. Remember, the bank pays you 2 or 4% on your money, charges you 6, right? So they're making, let's just say, a 2% spread. But imagine flipping that. Imagine now you're making 6 and paying 4. You'd be making the spread. That is the sole fundamental basis of what I want you to understand. But you see, it comes only if you're willing to change one thing and then add one step. So let's dive right in. What is the change? Because some of you are like, Chris, just tell me, what is the change? Simple. In order to be the bank, you can't deposit your money in a bank. And you're like, wow, well, that actually kind of makes sense, because if the bank is the one that wants to make the spread and control my money and lend it out, well, then if I put it at the bank, then that's never going to change. So where do you put your money? Well, to get the answer of that, you can either listen to what I tell you, or you can go back in the history books 100+ years ago and look at the wealthiest families like the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Morgans, the Stanleys. Yes, they were bankers, but they understood this. And then you could look at Ray Kroc, you could look at Walt Disney, you could look at Doris Christopher from Pampered Chef, McCain, you know, he's no longer with us either. You could look at all those wealthy families and you could see there is a very unique pattern of where those families kept the majority of their wealth. And it was not a bank. It was a giant mutually owned life insurance company. I'm being honest. Why would that be a life insurance company versus a bank? Why wouldn't they store their money at banks? Well, because banks aren't strong enough, aren't safe enough, especially back then. They were worried about losing their money, a run on the bank. Their money could get wiped out. Think about Silicon Valley Bank just a few short years ago. Republic Bank, I mean, Deutsche Bank just dropped 90% the other day. Haven't done my YouTube video on that yet, but like, banks have some issues because banks take risk. Banks don't have the money. They use your money. So if you and everybody else goes to the bank and wants their money back, well then, son, we've got a problem here. But you see, at an insurance company, they don't have that problem, because people put money into an insurance company in the form of premiums, and they're buying a protection for someday way in the future. And that protection that they're looking to buy is protection of when we die too soon. Now, this is a cool thing because we're all guaranteed to die. I know nobody wants to hear that, but that is a guarantee. Taxes and death, we are going to die. So what the insurance companies do is they take these premiums in and they hold them and manage them and invest them in a very conservative way, unlike the banks, so that that money grows so that they have enough to pay when you pass away. Now, they're not going to pay it to you. They're going to pay it to your family. But you see, here's where the wealthy families really were smart. When they looked at giant mutually owned insurance companies, they looked at them on a fundamental basis, and they said, wow, these insurance companies are really financially safe. Look at all the money they have. They actually had money, where banks didn't have money. They just had your money and they owed a bunch, right? Because your deposits to a bank are liabilities, and then the loans the bank makes, that's the asset. To an insurance company, guess what they've got? Oodles and oodles of cash, hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars. Look up any giant mutually owned insurance company. You can look at their financials and see what I'm talking about. So these wealthy families saw that and they said, all right, hey, I want my money there. So they grabbed their cash and they walked into the insurance company and they said, hey, I got all this money. I'd like to deposit it in this mutually owned insurance company. And the insurance company said, I'm sorry, we are not a bank. Back out the door, sir. You can't deposit your money here. So what they did is they said, well, how could we get our money into that insurance company? Well, just like today, back then, there was this product called whole life insurance. What everybody thinks, when I say the word whole life insurance, you all think, oh my gosh, that is the worst place I can put my money. Dave Ramsey said, don't ever do that. Buy term, invest the difference. Susie Orman said the same thing. And all the other gurus said that's the worst place you can put your money. Now, I'm not going to disagree with them. But you see, whole life insurance can be designed and engineered from a contractual level to look very much like a bank account, to perform very much like a bank account, to actually have features, benefits, and guarantees that far outweigh anything you can get with a regular bank account. But you got to design and engineer it. So when I say whole life, I'm not talking about the whole life insurance that you'd buy from your brother-in-law or sister-in-law, because they all just went in and got their licenses and they're trying to sell you the whole life, right? Or they're trying to actually, you know what they're trying to sell you? IULs, because they get a way bigger commission on them. But anyway, not even to go there. So what you have to understand is when we're going to show you, what I'm going to show you, the whole life insurance policy that I'm talking about is specially designed and engineered from a contractual level to work for banking. specifically the infinite banking concept, which, just so you all know, and write this down if you're taking notes, the infinite banking concept is nothing more than you taking back control of the banking functions in your life. Like I mentioned earlier, we're going to take back control of that spread. We don't want the bank to get the spread. We want to get it. But you're also going to take back control of all the interest that you're giving to the bank for all those loans that you have out there right now. So just pause real quick, and then I'm going to kind of show you some slides here. I want you to all think about every month you write checks, and I want you to add these up. You write a check for your car loan, maybe a couple of those. You write a check to your credit card companies, maybe many of those too. You write a check for all the things that you've taken loans out for. Now add all those up. How much per month are you giving away? How much money per month are you writing a check for or doing a bill pay that will never come back to your family ever again? Could be a lot. Some of you are like, well, it's not that much, like 1,000. Some of you are like, well, it's like 5,000. Some of you are like, wow, I'm not even going to tell you how much it is. That's right. All that money's leaving your family forever. But just imagine if you flip the switch and all that money that you pay out on all the loans now were checks that you wrote back to yourself. This sounds like hocus pocus, fairy tale land. Like you think I'm smoking something here. You're thinking this is too good to be true. Folks, I am being dead serious. This is not too good to be true. This is absolutely possible, and this is absolutely mathematically proven. And that is what I'm hoping you are all going to get. So remember, we cannot become the bank using the bank. We have to find an alternative place to store our wealth. And that happens to be giant mutually owned insurance companies that pay dividends. But now we have to design and engineer a whole life insurance contract so that it works backwards from what it was designed to do. Because how many of you have ever gone to an insurance agent or your advisor and gone to them and said, hey, listen, I want to buy a whole life insurance policy, but I don't want to buy the death benefit. I just want to find the way to put the most amount of money into the whole life with the least amount of death benefit. Has anyone ever done that? No way. You've gone to your, Christy has. She's like, yeah, I just did it 3 times.
No, yeah, exactly. I was going to say, yeah, I sure did just the other day.
But most people, when they think life insurance, they're like, well, what would 500,000 worth of death benefit cost me? And then they twiddle their thumbs and, it's too much. What would 300,000 cost? You see, we're never going to do it that way. We're going to say, how much money would you like to save inside this private banking system? And then let's just say you come back and you say, well, I'd like to save $500 a month. Great. What we're going to do is we're going to take $500 a month and we're going to build a custom whole life insurance policy. And we're going to do one thing very different. We are literally going to put the lowest death benefit on the policy possible by IRS rules. There is a rule called the MEC 7P. I don't need you to know about it, but that basically is the limit of what we're going to do. We're going to literally put the lowest death benefit on. Now, some of you are going to come to us and you're going to say, like Christy, you're going to say, hey, listen, I got all these debts. I got all this money sitting in the bank. Can I just take that money out of the bank and just dump it into this whole life? In other words, like I got 10 grand in my right pocket and my right pocket's not paying me much. I want to take it out of my right pocket and I want to take that cash and I want to put it in my left pocket because my left pocket pays me more interest and it pays me interest tax free. Well, of course you want that, right? So when you do that, guess what we're going to use? See, Dave Ramsey has never, to the day, we've done this 16,000 plus times as of today. Dave Ramsey's never sent me a card saying, good job, thank you, you're doing a great job. Nope. Dave Ramsey just says that's the worst place you can put your money. But then Dave Ramsey comes around and says, Chris, or everybody else, you should buy term insurance. Dave, we are, dude. Inside the whole life policy, in order to satisfy that death benefit requirement, we are using term insurance, buddy. It's just a rider in the whole life. Because why, Dave? Because it's cheap. And we don't want to pay for like whole life insurance death benefit. I know I'm going down a rabbit hole here, but folks, like, listen, you're told to do something, and that's exactly what we're doing here, but they're telling you that's not the right way to do it. We're doing the exact thing they tell us to do, but we're doing it in a very unconventional way. So I know I'm going down a rabbit hole, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come over here to the board, folks, and I want to show you something that I think will help make a lot of sense here. Okay. All right, so now imagine this. You've got money in your bank, okay? And then that money is going to basically be used to buy things. Maybe you're going to buy cars, okay, every month. Maybe you're going to use it to pay down your credit cards. Maybe you're going to buy a boat. Sorry, my boat might be a bit off, but there's my boat. Okay, you're going to do something with that money. Let me ask you all a question. If you had, let's just use 10 grand. You got 10 grand sitting in your bank account. Your bank account, you found a good one, so it's paying you 4%. And now you're going to take that 10 grand out of the bank because you want to pay your credit cards off. Everybody tracking with what I'm doing? Now let's come over and I'm going to get rid of the boat for right now. I know it was an awesome looking sailboat, but we're going to have to come back to the sailboat. Okay, now right here. So we got the credit cards. We got 10 grand in the bank, earning 4%. And we've got $10,000 owed on credit cards over here. Now, how much do you think most people are paying on credit cards? Well, I'm going to tell you, I actually do this research almost on a weekly basis. We look it up. It's over 20%. Right now, it's sitting at about 23% is the average. Pretty crazy, right? We are paying 23% to these credit card companies. So 10 grand, 23%. Let's just say that's 200 a month, every month that you're giving away. Okay. But here's the logic I want you to really, really think about, because I hear this every single day. You got 10 grand in the bank. You're really proud of that. That's your emergency fund, your savings. You're great. You got a 4% high yield savings, but yet you got $10,000 owed on credit cards that you're giving away 23% a year on, and $200 is leaving your family every single month. What would be the logical thing to do? Christy, what would you do if you had 10 grand in the bank making 4, but you owed 10 grand on credit cards that they're charging you 23%? What would be logical?
Logical is to pay it off.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Did anyone else think anything else? People don't do this. This is why I'm asking. I can't rationalize it. People will not take money out of the bank because like, oh no, that's my emergency fund. I can't take that. No, I'm just going to keep making the monthly payments. I can afford $200 a month. I know you can afford $200 a month, but you're going to pay $200 a month for the rest of your life. $2,400 a year, every year, doesn't take long to get back that 10 grand. So here's what some smart people would do. They would take the money out of the bank. Now, if I take 10,000 out of the bank to pay off the credit card, how much money is left in the bank account? This is not a trick question. You're right. Zero. You got nothing left because you took the 10 grand out. But now you see what we did with the 10 grand, we paid off the credit card. Now, what we do to be smart is we got to complete this. I'm teaching you the infinite banking concept and you don't even know it. We don't need the whole life to teach the process. And this is that one step I mentioned earlier. So that one step would be if we paid off the credit cards for 10 grand using money from our bank account, the logical thing would be to take the $200 a month that we used to give to the credit cards, and I like to call this recycle and recapture, because that's exactly what we're doing. We are recycling and recapturing $200 a month back into the bank account where the money came out. Does everybody see what we did? We just created a circle. That's all we did. Your money is now moving in a circle that will just keep going round and round and round. The more we have the use for capital in your life, you will never not have a use for capital. Your money will always have a place to work if you allow it to work. So that's the infinite banking concept. So now remember, $2,400 every month is coming back into your bank account. You no longer owe the credit cards. How much did you just make on your $10,000? What kind of return did you make on your $10,000? Because I know some of you are like, oh gosh, I was making 4%, but then I took the money out to pay off the credit cards and I'm not making 4% anymore. You're right, you're not. If you paid yourself back $200 a month, because that's what you were paying the credit cards, are you not earning 23% a year?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
How much risk did you have to take to do that? Like, is there risk here? Is this like gambling? Is this like putting money in the S&P 500 or a risky stock or even Bitcoin? No, folks, there is no risk. You didn't work harder, longer, and you didn't take on any risk here because it's the same money you already had. It's the same money you were already paying out, but now you reverse the role. You paid the credit card off. You paid the $200 a month back to the bank account where it came from. You are literally starting the process of taking back the banking functions in your life. However, there is one drastic thing that did not happen here. And this is the one reason why we cannot start in a bank account. And remember I said this, and I asked Christy this, when you took the 10 grand out to pay the credit cards off, that 10 grand left the bank. So the bank's no longer paying you 4%. So you stopped earning on that $10,000. And that's a problem because that 10 grand isn't working for you anymore. Stay with me here, folks. Just imagine this now, okay? Let's get rid of this 4%. Everything is the same. Everything that we just said is the same, except for now, I'm going to change one thing. That's all I'm going to change here is one thing. We are no longer going to keep that $10,000 in a traditional bank. We are going to move that $10,000 into a specially designed and engineered whole life insurance policy. Okay, so that's where your 10 grand went. I know some of you are like, I wouldn't do that, Chris. Nope, I wouldn't. Well, hold on. Let me justify why you would if you knew how it worked. Now, remember, the bank account was paying you 4%. The whole life insurance contract has two things that it pays you. Number one, guaranteed interest. For the rest of your life, guaranteed interest. So let's just use one of the insurance companies that we use. Their guaranteed interest rate, and this is the one that Christy just did, is 3.25%. But you're probably thinking, yeah, but the bank was paying me 4, Chris, and now you're only giving me 3.25. This 3.25 is guaranteed in a contract to never change. Your bank account, as soon as the Fed waves their magic wand and drops rates, guess what happens to your bank account? It goes down. You know this because just 2 years ago, you were getting probably nothing on your savings account. So don't tell me your savings account isn't going to change because I promise you it will. But in a whole life insurance policy, it doesn't. But you see, remember I mentioned that those wealthy families, they didn't just go to any life insurance company. They went to giant, mutually owned life insurance companies, meaning there are no stockholders. You can't buy their stock on the Dow. You can't go online to your Schwab account or your Fidelity account and buy the stock. There is no stock. It is mutually owned. And because it's mutually owned, that would mean that the insurance company's interest is aligned with its policyholders' interests. Therefore, when they have profits, they share them with who? Not their stockholders, because there isn't any.
Right.
They're policyholders. So now you're not just getting interest, you're getting dividends. Now, we all like dividends, especially if any of you have stocks that pay you dividends, you love those things. But now, inside this life insurance contract called the whole life, you're getting guaranteed interest plus dividends. So what does that work out to be? Well, I can tell you right now, the lowest that we have right now, so I'm never going to give you the highest. The highest would be 6.4, but the lowest is 5.75% dividend crediting rate, which includes the guaranteed interest rate plus the dividend the insurance company pays you. Now, the dividend is not guaranteed. However, every insurance company we have is over 100 years old. The youngest is, I think, 143 years old. Christy, how many times has that 143-year-old life insurance company missed a dividend?
Never.
Never once in 143 years. Not through the Great Depression, not through the dot-com crash, not through the crash in the 80s, not through the Great Recession, not through the pandemic. They've always paid dividends. They've never, ever missed one. None of the insurance companies have. So therefore, if 575 is the interest and dividends that you are earning inside the whole life, is that not more than what you're getting in a traditional high-yield savings account?
Absolutely.
It is. But you see, there's a problem with savings accounts, and that is every year at the end of the year, the bank sends you a present. And it is not a dum-dum sucker, although it should come with one. It is called a 1099, which means that 4% you're getting at the bank, you pay tax on that 4%. So you really make 4% after tax? No, you make less, depending on your tax rate. But inside the whole life insurance policy, you are indeed earning this dividend and interest in a tax-free environment. Not only is it tax-free, it is protected against judgments and liens in most states. Not all, but most. Okay. Not only that, you mentioned this earlier. I have a 4-year-old. You have kids, Christy. Everybody that's watching this probably has someone that they love and care about. So when we die, because we're all guaranteed to die, do we want to leave our loved ones in a better place or a worse place?
Better.
Better. If you got a bank account and you leave that bank account to your loved ones, that bank account has to go through probate. It probably doesn't have enough money in it, and you don't give them any more than the amount you had in the bank account. But you see, in the whole life policy, because it includes a death benefit, you give your family a huge step up in the amount that you have. So if you had 10 grand in your whole life insurance policy, you probably are going to give them $100,000+ in death benefit tax free. So I know I went long on that, but folks, let me just ask you all a question now. Does this sound better than the bank account you are storing your money at?
Absolutely.
It does, doesn't it?
Yes.
So why would everybody tell you that a whole life is the worst place you can keep your money? Well, probably because they tell you, oh, it's super high commissioned and it's really expensive. That death benefit's really expensive. But then I would come back and I would say, wait a second, probably about, and this is going to vary, folks, so bear with me, but probably 80% of the death benefit is made up of term insurance in the beginning. Term insurance is cheap. That's what Dave Ramsey's telling you to buy. And that's how we're building the death benefits. Only 20% is that expensive whole life insurance. We call that the base. But hold on. By doing that, there's something else miraculous that happens. Remember, most people will tell you that whole life pays a super high commission. But what if I told you the way we're going to design your whole life insurance policy to do what we're about to look at reduces our commission by 60 to as much as 90%. And guess who gets the amount that we're giving up? If we get a reduction of 60 to 90%, who do you think gets the rest? Some of you are sitting there thinking, oh, the insurance company. Wrong. You do, in the form of cash value. You see, every policy we design, that cash that you put into the whole life, that money or a high percentage of that is going to be available immediately in the first 30 days. So all I did there is I tried to explain to you why the wealthiest families in history have used whole life insurance, and only whole life, not IULs, not VULs, not ULs, whole life, to do this. It is because of what I just outlined. But there's one other person that you probably should know about who buys whole life insurance, and it's going to surprise you. So you all can do your own due diligence. But actually, here, let me show you a slide here. I think it's important that you see this. There we go. Sorry, I got lots of slides. There's the one I'm looking for. I'm going to share this. You see, when I do this stuff, I really like to just prove things because I don't like anyone to ever say, oh, that's not true. Well, this is true. So can you see that slide?
Yes.
Top 5 banks. Is that the whole slide that you're looking at?
Yes. Top 5. Yes.
Okay. Just look at that. And this is old. Look at the date, 2021. So Bank of America, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan Chase, US Bank, and PNC Bank. Everyone watching this right now has heard of those banks. That next to the bank is how much that bank as of 2021 had in whole life insurance. But they don't call it whole life. They call it BOLI, bank-owned life insurance. So I want to give all of you a chance to prove me wrong. I want you to go onto Google or whatever search engine you can use, those fancy chat GPT thingamajiggers. And all I want you to do is ask it, say, how much whole life insurance do banks own? That's it. How much whole life insurance? But actually, why don't we put it in the right words? How much BOLI, bank-owned life insurance, do banks own? And it will pull up FDIC.gov. You all know what that is. And you will see that I only gave you the top 5. If you do all the banks, it's hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars. But even today, just the top 5 today, we did this as of 2023, it was over 100 billion for just these 5.
See, I got to stop you. I got to stop you because that is why that's so irritating to me when I hear stuff like that, because the American people, the basic people that are, an average of, say, $5,000 a month income, they do not have this information. They are being told, save your money. Put your money in a savings account in the bank and draw 0.0145% and be happy with that. And they're out doing exactly the opposite. And that's why I just love what you do, is because the American people deserve to know that this is real for like anybody. Like you said, you don't have to be making $100,000 a year to do this. This is for Joe Blow on the street that just learns how to do the one change that one thing. And I had to jump in and say that because that's where my heart is at, is helping the American people to understand that you too can do exactly what the wealthy are doing. You just weren't taught, and that's what you're showing us today. And thank you. Thank you for that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And I love showing this because, like, at this point, I hope a lot of you who came into this and were a bit leery and kind of, naysayers, why would the banks be putting their most valuable dollars, their tier one capital, into the same vehicle that most of them are telling you not to put your money? Because that's proof facts. Like, it doesn't get any more factual than this, folks. That should make you really question everything. But it shouldn't just make you question everything. You should already be questioning everything, because what you've been taught about money your entire life, for the most part, has been one big lie, so that you give up control of your money to the institutions so that they can go and use your money to make more money. True or true? That is absolutely what's going on. So I might be one of the few people in your life that is coming to you showing you, hey, wake up. There is a different way to do this. You can take back control of your money. You can be the one making the spread instead of giving it to the bank, and you can take back the banking functions in your life. And in a second, I'm going to show you how to do that. But I didn't get into one of my favorite things, and I got to go to this. Let's go back to the board here. So I think now I've made a good point that this is definitely not a bad place to put your money. It's better than a bank account, at least. But some of you are sitting there saying, yeah, but I could put money in real estate and earn way more than 5.75. I could put money in the S&P 500 and do better than 5.75. And heck, Chris, have you seen that thing called Bitcoin? Man, I could make way more than 5.75 in that, right? Some of you are thinking that. Now, I would agree. All of those, although they involve risk, you would make more money over a long period of time than just put money in whole life. But you see, I am not telling you to put your money into a whole life and leave your money sit there. No freaking way.
Right.
You see, there is one thing the wealthy families knew, and this is where you're really going to get super excited. Some of you are like, what do you mean? I'm already excited. No, you're going to be freaking out in just about a second. You see, here's how this really works. I'm going to leave this up here with the credit cards. We're going to do the credit card. You got 10 grand sitting in a whole life insurance policy, okay? And we're going to talk a little bit more about like the whole life and the funding and all that. And now we want to pay off that credit card, just like you did with the bank account. Let's do a little exercise. And I don't think anybody's going to get this right except for Christy. We got 10 grand in the whole life. Now, and we just put it into the whole life. You just funded your whole life insurance policy yesterday. Okay. Within the first 30 days, when your money clears, when your check clears, we are going to take that money out of the whole life and pay off this credit card. But we're going to do it differently, because remember, now we got to think as if we are the bank, because that's the only way this works. If you treat your money the same way you treat the bank's money, you will be successful. If you decide that you're not going to treat your money the same way you treat the bank's money just because it's your money, then you're cheating yourself. Nelson Nash said, don't steal the peas. What he meant by that is, if you owned a grocery store and every single day you went in and you stole a can of peas, your grocery store in time would go out of business. I know that seems crazy, but if you steal from your business will go out of business. If you steal from your bank will go out of business. So here's the thing. When we take money from our bank, that whole life, we're going to take it in the form of a loan. Now, I know this sounds crazy. You're like, wait a second, Chris, hold on. I'm trying to pay off a loan. Why would I take another loan? Well, because you're a bank. And here's why. Let's say we take that $10,000 from our policy and we pay off the credit card. So now we started with 10 grand in the whole life. We took a loan from the whole life policy. We paid off the credit card. Christy, I know you know the answer, but let's go to the audience. How much money is left in your cash value inside that whole life insurance policy? Remember, it was zero in the bank because we took 10 grand out of the bank. But we took 10 grand out of the whole life policy too. But you see, there is still $10,000 in your whole life insurance policy. Not only is there $10,000 in your policy, you borrowed 10 grand and you paid off the credit card. So now we're going to repeat the process. We're still going to make that $200 payment back to the place where it came from, the policy. And we're going to do that because why wouldn't you? You were given $200 to the credit card and you are now giving it back to yourself, which means you're now making 23% because you were giving 23% up. But you see, that's not all you're making. When we did that with a bank account, you were only making 23%. Some of you were like, well, that's fine by me. But no, it's not. Remember, we got to start thinking like a bank, and a bank makes a spread. So let's just do some simple math. And I'm going to change the number. Okay. I'm going to go to a more normal one. Let's say 6%. Okay, because I want math to be simple for all of you. If your whole life insurance policy is paying you a dividend crediting rate of 6%, which our highest is 6.4, so I'm kind of in the middle, and you take a loan from your policy and they charge you 5%, just help me out and do the math. If you're earning 6, tax-free, because that's important, and you're paying 5, what are you making? Now, I know some of you are doing the math. It doesn't matter. You're making a spread. You are making a spread. How did a bank make money? They made a spread. You see, here's the most unique thing about why this system should be used by every person doing everything, is because this is the only vehicle you can use where you can earn uninterrupted compounding interest on all of your money while still using it. Yes, the insurance company is charging you 5% because some of you are like, this is hocus pocus. This can't be. It's simple. The insurance company promised you a death benefit when you died. But what you failed to realize is the insurance company is glad to let you borrow against your death benefit while you're living, as long as you have cash value in the policy and you can borrow up to that, because that's collateral. I don't know many banks that like to lend without collateral. So insurance companies are no different. They want their loan collateralized. Yeah, they know they got to pay this death benefit out when you die, but hey, they'll let you use it. They just want to know that you got some collateral. Well, your collateral is your cash value. So the insurance company charges you interest to let you use their general account money, and all they do is they subtract it from your death benefit. So when we take a loan from the insurance company, your death benefit is going to go down by, in this example, $10,000. But because that's how it's working, your money, all of your money, your cash value is earning guaranteed interest plus dividends uninterrupted. Albert Einstein described compounding interest as the eighth wonder of the world. Look it up. And he said it's the most powerful thing in the financial universe. You just learned how to tap into that. You just learned how to reverse the role, make the spread. And I'm going to show you the math in a second, but you also learned how to not lose liquidity on your money. Now, I'm not saying you can use 100% of the cash value. You can usually use up to about 90%. We'll get into the numbers in a second, but even 90%, you're still able to earn interest on it all. And then remember the infinite banking concept, the circle, you're going to do that. Take 10 grand out, you pay off the credit cards, you take the money you were given the credit cards, you put it back over here. When you put $200 back into your whole life, which is the money you were given away to the credit card, how much money is available every month? $200, just like your bank account. When you deposited $200 in your bank, you had $200. When you take and deposit $200 that you were giving away into your whole life policy, you have $200. All you're doing is repaying the loan, but there's a cool thing. Hopefully I'm not going too fast. It's a super cool thing. When you pay down a loan, Christy knows this well because this is exactly how HELOCs work, and that's what she teaches. If you pay down this $10,000 loan that they're charging you 5% on, are you actually paying 5%? No. There's this thing called an APR. If we're paying this loan down at a rate of $200 a month, technically 23%, what we are doing is reducing the loan in which the insurance company is charging us 5%. So therefore, we're paying 5% on a declining balance, meaning at the end of every year and every month, if you wanted, your interest rate, your APR is less than 5. But hold on. How much is the insurance company paying you on your cash value? The same amount, but now they're paying you the same amount on an increasing balance, compounding interest. Look at one is going up, one is going down. What's in the middle? A spread that always goes up. Hopefully that made sense to you folks. I know I beat it to death, but at this point, now what we're going to do is something super fun. I'm going to go right into it. Christy, I'm skipping a lot of stuff, but I think
No, that is super. And I'm going to tell everybody, you just showed me that last week, because in my mind, I was thinking, why would I pay 5% back to the insurance company when I took my money out, paid off whatever, did whatever, paid taxes, whatever. And when you told me, no, Christy, that's simple interest, I was like, oh my Lord, literally, because you can take an average rate on a HELOC right now is 9% simple interest. If you can take a loan from yourself paying 5%,
Yeah, it's like 5 to, I don't know, 5.5% or so, given which company
I
you
don't
use.
care if it's 7%. It's cheaper than the 9%
Right.
that the second position HELOC is. So, and even a PLOC. I mean, you're talking 12 to 14%. So, guys, you need to listen because I'm totally learning this with you. It's been a complete game changer in my own finances since I've learned this. And he's showing you how you literally can bypass the bank and take care of your own loans and lines. This is a line. This is so exciting. Please go ahead.
All right. So now, like we showed credit cards and how that work, but really this whole work up to this, and we're going to go really fast in the next two because now you understand how it works. It's a circle. Your money starts in the whole life. We're going to call that your bank, moves over here to do something where that money can work harder for you. Then you take whatever that earns and you move it back. Your money just keeps going in a circle. It's always in motion. But now let's do some fun things. Remember earlier I said I'd show you how to get all the money back for every single car you buy, drive, and own. So that's where we're going to go. Let's buy some cars. So her name is Eleanor. If you saw the movie Gone in 60 Seconds, that's where this car is. All of you would consider looking at Eleanor differently if you knew you'd get all the money back if you bought this car. It would be a totally different game buying cars. So that's what I'm going to show you. And I'm going to show it to you focusing solely on the process we just learned, not the product called the whole life, okay? Because I'm going to show you a whole life that is stripped down. I removed the dividends, and I'm going to show you a terribly designed whole life policy just so that you focus on the process, not the product. All right, let's get into it. So a couple things. When we, and I call the policy the machine because it's a machine we just run money through, but a machine like the whole life, when you make premiums, because everybody, you know, when you work with an insurance company, they don't call it deposits. They call it premiums. And when you think of a premium, you think it's bad. Like you hate making your car premiums, or car insurance premiums. You hate making your health insurance premiums. No one likes making premium payments, but everybody loves making deposits. So here's what it is. This is all mindset, folks. When we make a premium into your whole life, it is a premium deposit because we designed the contract to accept deposits. So we're going to call them premium deposits. No more can any of you sit there and say, oh, I'm too old for this. Listen, the majority of our clients are in their 60s, and a lot of them are in their late 60s. You're not too old for this until you're beyond 74. Okay, fair enough. So if you're under 74, this is going to make a lot of sense. If you're over 74, no problem. We just got to find another body to insure and have you own it because 74, we are focused just on death benefit at that point, not cash value growth. And that's what I'm going to talk about, the death benefit. Every policy we design has a death benefit, but I want to be completely transparent. It will be significantly less than what a regular life insurance policy would give you. I just want to be transparent. When we design these policies for the infinite banking concept, we are stripping the death benefit down to be much lower because we don't want to pay for it. So just know that. Don't use this as your sole legacy protection and your sole legacy plan. But let's get into the numbers. To buy a car, let me ask everybody, what are the 4 ways you can buy a car? Now, I know I can't hear from you, so let me just give them to you. You can pay cash for a car, and many of you do. And in order to pay cash for a car, what would you have to do? You'd have to save up, right? You'd have to save money for a period of time to be able to pay cash for a car. So let's say you were saving up for a car, and right there on the screen, we were saving $10,000 every year. Don't get hung up on the numbers. It's just easy math to use 10 grand. You're saving up to pay cash for a car. Now, when you took the money out of your account to buy a car, which in this case, if you were buying a $25,000 car, it would take you 3 years to save 25 grand. If you took 25 grand out of the account in the 3rd year, and bought a car, does that 25,000 ever earn anything again? No, it's in a car. And a car is what? A depreciating or appreciating asset? Hopefully you all said depreciating. So paying cash for a car is, in my opinion, one of the worst ways you can buy a car, unless you found a way to have all of the money continue earning interest and dividends. But the second way you could buy a car is you could finance a car. When you finance a car, you make monthly payments of principal and interest to a bank. And then in return, at some point, usually 60 months, that car is bought and paid for. And now your car is worth half of its value, if that. And you've given all that interest to the bank. The third way you can buy a car is you can lease it. I never will understand this outside of the fact that CPAs it's an easy way to tell you to, hey, you can write it all off. Well, you can write off the payments on a car. You can write off the gas on a car. You can write off the mileage on a car. Like, I don't understand why they always make such a big deal out of leasing cars, because it is probably one of the biggest shams you've ever been introduced to at a car dealership. Because think about what you're doing. You're getting a brand new automobile. You're making monthly payments of principal and interest to a finance company. And after the 3 or 4 or 5 years of your lease payment, what are you doing? You're giving them the car back. You have gotten nothing out of it. And you got to rinse and repeat. And guess what? The lease payment always goes up. So the fourth way you could buy a car is you could steal it, but that's not what we're doing. So let's get into this. We're going to save up to buy a car, but we're not going to save up in a bank account. We're going to save up in a specially designed whole life. So the first year we put 10 grand in, and because I stripped the dividends, you would have $5,873 available immediately in the first 30 days. The next year you put 10 grand in again in premium deposits, you have $12,215. The third year you put $10,000 in it, and you would have 29,000, doing my math, 29,204, 25 plus the 4,204. But you buy a car for 25 grand, which you can see here on the screen. We take 25,000 out of that specially designed whole life as a loan, and we buy a car. Now, real quick, you should all be able to answer this. If we started with 29,204 and we took 25 out as a loan, how much is in our policy earning interest and dividends? I hope you all said 29,204. Right. And if you bought a car and you used your bank, what must you do? Treat your money the same way you treated the bank's money. So I missed the slide, but I'm just going to tell you the payment on this car, if you went to a bank at 6%, would have been roughly $500 a month. So 500 times 12 is $6,000 a year. Okay, fair enough. So that's all we're doing. We're making $500 a month car payments, but we're making them back to our bank, which is the policy. So if I pay $500 month number one for this car that I just bought, and that 500 goes back into my policy, I want to see if you were paying attention, how much money is available the next day? 500 more. And the next month, you put 500 into the policy as a loan repayment, 500 again is more. You lose no liquidity of your money, but you are still following the process because, like we mentioned, every car payment you make back to the policy is reducing the loan to the insurance company, allowing you to make more and more money. But you didn't lose any access to money. You put $500 from your checking account into the policy as a car payment, and then you have $500 in your policy that's available the next day. But let's do some math, okay? So here we bought one car. Now let's do the math on this one car. For 7 years, we saved $10,000 a year. That's 70 grand. Every month, we made $500 payments for a term of 60 months, okay? 5 years. So we paid $30,000 back to the policy. We would have given $30,000 to a traditional bank and you would have none of that money available. But here you made $30,000 payments back to your policy. So that's $100,000 that you put into your banking system. Okay. But we bought a car. So we took 25 grand from our banking system. So that means our true net injection for the first car is $75,000. By the math. It's all right there in front of you. So for the first car, it is bought and paid for. It is in your driveway. Let's do the math here. You put 75 in and you have $67,881 in cash value that's available anytime you need it. Emergency fund, you can do anything you want with that. Okay. That means for the first car you bought, you got 91 cents of every dollar back. Does anyone know how to get 91 cents of every dollar back that they pay for their cars without selling the car? No. You didn't have to sell the car. The car is in the driveway. You could sell the car and actually profit here, but we're just going to keep the car in the driveway. And now what we're going to do, we're year 6, that car that we bought 5 years ago now needs tires, it needs brakes, and the dealership that you are getting it serviced at said this car is not safe to drive. It's always 5 years, magic. Now what you're going to do is you're going to go and you're going to buy a second car. But for this example, we are going to make no more premium deposits into the policy. We're just not going to make any more premium deposits. You would never do this, but I want to show this as an example. So now we're going to go in this 8th year, we're going to buy another car for 25 grand. Remember, the first car is bought and paid for in the driveway. Now we buy a second car for 25 grand. How much money did you have in the policy? $51,521 plus $25,000. None of your money stopped working for you. None of your money stopped compounding. You're using part of your death benefit and collateralizing it with the cash value, which is why I'm showing the 25,000 coming away, because you don't have liquidity of the loans you took out, because the insurance company locks that up as collateral. But now what we do is we make $500 payments again every month. 500 bucks goes back into the policy. So let's do the math here. We put no new deposits into the policy for the second car over these 5 years. We made $30,000 worth of car payments back into the policy, which all 30,000 went into the policy and became available to you. So we have 30, but we bought a car. So we're going to subtract 25 from our banking system. So our true net injection in the second car, years 8 through 12, is 5 grand. How much money do you have in your policy? Cash value. Right here, cash value in your money multiplier account is $91,473. How much did you have in your policy after the first car you bought? 67. So if we did 91 minus 67, that's 23 grand. But hold on, you didn't make $23,000. I'm sorry, you didn't make that much. Let's actually figure out how much you made for buying 2 cars. You put 75,000 net into the policy for the first car. The second car, you put $5,000 net in. So 75 plus the 5,000 is what? 80 grand. 80,000 minus 91,473, which is your cash value, is $11,473. You made $11,473 for buying 2 cars. Both cars are in your driveway, bought and paid for. So this is how you get all the money back for every car you buy, drive, and own. Now, Christy and I just did a video. It was different. We went through 3 cars, but we staggered the cars. We did a Camry first. Then we bought a Tesla. Then we bought a Ford Raptor. And I showed how buying 3 cars worked, and you make a whole bunch of money buying 3 cars. Every car you buy, you will make more money because of mathematics called compounding interest. So right there, I showed you how to get all the money back for every single car you ever buy, drive, and own by changing one thing, and that is where your money goes first, and adding one step, that is the process, which is that $500 a month goes back to the policy, create that circle, and all you had to do is follow 3 rules. And here they are. You paid yourself first, which you are now. You're saving money, which means you're paying yourself first. You paid yourself back with interest. Why? Well, because you pay the banks back with interest. So why would your money be any less valuable? Well, it shouldn't be. You should pay yourself back the exact same amount you would pay their bank. But if you're feeling really gracious, give yourself a discount from what the traditional bank is. Doesn't matter. You're in control of your money because you own the bank. And lastly, recycle and recapture the money. Do not steal the peas. So that's the car. Now, I want to go on to something that now should really, really just blow all of your minds. Now, this is going to hit home for any of you that have debts. And I know when I showed this to Christy, she loved this one the best because this is a real example. The car example I just gave you, it was just made up. But this is a real client. He was a chiropractor. We met him after we did an event, and he came up to us and he said, "Hey, guys, I just saw your presentation. I want to know, can you help me?" Sure. What's your problem? And he said, "Here's my problem. I have these debts totaling $478,774. But that's not the real problem. You see, if you add up those monthly payments I'm paying to all these debts, that's $5,777 a month, $69,324 a year. This poor gentleman, this chiropractor, was paying on third-party debts, and all that money was leaving his family forever. So he said, "Can you help me pay this off?" And we said, "Well, I don't know." First thing we asked is, "Mr. Chiropractor, how much money are you saving?" To that, he answered, and he did some math, and he says, "Well, I put money into a 401k. Okay. He had his own practice, but he was still putting into a 401k. And he said, and then I do some cash adjustments. So the total amount I'm saving is a little over $25,000 a year." And all we said to him, it wasn't me, it was Brent. All he said to him is he said, "All right, well, if we took that $25,000 a year that you're saving and we stopped putting it into the 401k, and we took that 25 grand and all we did is we just put it to pay down these debts. in this exact order, how long would it take to pay off all these debts? Well, we ran the math, which all of you could, and you'd figure out it'd be 19 years. To that, he said, there's no way I can do that. I cannot pay on these debts for 19 years. I just can't. And we said to him, okay, we ran some more math. We ran our policy designs, and we came back and we said, Mr. Chiropractor, are you willing to change where your savings goes first and put it into that specially designed whole life? Then he said, well, it depends. And we said to him, are you willing to do that if you can pay off all your debts in 6.5 years and you don't have to work harder, longer, or take on any risk? He said, giddy up and go. So let's do that. Now I'm going to walk you through how this worked, and we're going to go slow at first, and then we're going to go faster because I want to be observant of your time. I'm a little over an hour here. Okay. So the first year, what is he going to do? He changed where the $25,000 went. So he has a premium deposit that he makes of $25,000, to which then he immediately takes a loan from that whole life insurance policy in the first 30 days. Repeat this with me, folks. How long after he puts the money into the whole life does he take the money out? Immediately in the first 30 days. So he takes $14,863 out, and you'd be able to take a lot more than 14 grand. I'm just showing you this because I want to I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. I want to underdeliver and overpromise. No, I said that wrong. Whatever that is, you guys know what I'm trying to say. It's getting late. But we take $14,863 as a loan from the insurance company, and we pay off Discover, we pay off Lowe's, and we pay down Nordstrom. So now every month, or every year, I should say, he is paying $53.29 to third-party debts, but he is saving $448. So here's what we tell the chiropractor to do. Go to your bank and open up a second checking account, to which he does. And then we have him put $161, which he used to give to Discover, and $287, which he used to give to Lowe's. And we said, set up an automatic transfer from one account to this newly created segregated bank account. So every month he's putting $448 that he used to give away that now he is keeping in this new bank account. Everybody's tracking what I'm doing here. Okay, that's year number one, a little slow start. Year two does the same thing, puts 25 grand in and takes it out. How soon? Immediately in 30 days. But he takes $16,571. Notice how this number went up. Does anyone know why? Well, if anyone says compounding interest, you're absolutely right. We are compounding. So all the money we've put into the policy is compounding. So now you're starting to see the effect of that compounding interest. So he takes $16,571, which is a loan from the insurance company. Then he goes to that segregated bank account that he set up, where he was saving $448, all money that he used to give away. So he's got $5,374 in that account. If we add up the loan plus that bank account balance, we got $21,945. He takes that $21,945, pays off Nordstrom, pays off Wells Fargo, pays off the private loan, and pays down his BMW loan. So now, where you see the red lines, those are all debts he used to pay. And guess what they are now? That is all now savings he gets to keep. I don't have the APR that I added up, but it would be probably double digits that he was giving away. So let's do the math here. So now that he's paid all those off, now he's only paying $38.60 to third-party debts. He's saving $1,917 a month, plus the $25 he's putting in each year, which was his savings he was putting into his 401k. But the $1,917 was not part of his savings. I want to be clear about that. The $1,917 is money he was giving away on debts. So it is newfound savings. We literally are creating wealth through his debts and expenses that he had. Let me repeat that. The chiropractor in the second year is now creating wealth through his own debts and expenses without working harder, longer, or taking on any risk. The third year is always the magical year. So let's hit year three. Year three, the same thing happens. Puts in $25,000, but now immediately in the first 30 days takes out how much? The only thing you need to say is more than he put in. He takes out $25,541. Now, this is an important thing, and in almost every policy we design, it will work similar. In the third year, which is what we like to call our efficiency year, usually your premium deposit you put in, you will take out more money than you put in. And every year from that third year for the rest of your life, every dollar you put into the policy, you will take out more than you put in. Everybody understands that, and I think everybody likes that, right? So then he was saving $1,917 in that segregated account. That was the money he used to give to Nordstrom, Wells Fargo, private loan. Okay, fair enough. So we got $48,545, the loan plus the bank account. So we take that 48, we pay off the car loan, we pay off the boat loan to West Marine, and we pay down the condo. So we're 3 years into this program. Now he only owes $2,100 a month, which is on 2 mortgages. Okay, that's how much he's giving away. But now he's saving $3,677 that used to be money he paid to his debts. All of this represents what we like to call the marathon, because it is. For 3 years, this chiropractor put money into a whole life policy, specially designed for this purpose, but he took out less than he put in. It wasn't until the 3rd year he put money in that he was able to take more out. And some people get kind of mad about that. But here's how that marathon worked. He put in 25, 25, 25. That's 75 grand. Every year he took out money. 14, 16, 15, took out 55. How much is left in his policy? It is not 75 minus 55, like your bank account would be. It is 75,000 because he's getting paid interest and dividends on all of his money, even though he got to use a portion of it. But see, here's now, it's going to get really fun here. 4th year, and I want to stop and do some math. So let me just, Christy, I'm going to probably ask you to help me a little because I want people to really see the power of compounding interest. So we're going to do that. The 4th year puts in 25 grand, immediately takes a loan from the policy for 26,304. So he made 1,304 on his deposit that year. He saved in that segregated account 44,124. So he has a total of 70,439. Now, here's one other thing I always like to call out. You all do understand that this chiropractor was being really adamant about paying debt off, but let's just say something traumatic happened in his life. The roof on his house got ripped off in a tornado. His basement flooded. His main sewer line broke. His car got stolen and he needed to buy a new one. At any time, he had liquidity of his money, did he not? He could have taken money from that bank account at any time. He could have taken cash value from his policy at any time. Yes, it would have added time on to how long it took him to pay the loan back. But I just want you all to understand, this chiropractor and all of our clients, they're giving up no liquidity of their money. They have access to all of their money. So that emergency fund that everybody's so worried about, there it is. You've got it. You've built it. It's happened, but you've actually built it by building it through money that you used to give away. So it was almost like free found money. All right, so the 4th year, 70,439. He's going to make that payment to that condo mortgage. So what was the impact? When you make a principal payment down on a mortgage, does your cash flow change? Nope. So in the 4th year, he's still the same amount. He's still giving away 2,100, still saving 3,677. 5 years into this program, he deposits 25 grand and immediately takes a loan for $27,090. Let me show you how the math works. And actually, I'm going to do it on the board real quick. Okay, so I want you all to do this. So right now, his cash value is $27,090. His deposit was $25,000. What I want you to do is, here, I'm going to stop sharing for just one quick second because this is worth teaching. And I never do this because I never have time to. This is his premium deposit that he put in, 25. This is his cash value that he had to use that year. So to figure out his return, this is how you do it with your 401k, with your Schwab account. This is figuring out a return. What we're going to do is take $27,090 and we're going to subtract our deposit we put in, 25 grand. So he made $2,090 on his money, net, net, net. Because remember, we already took the premium out. So this was the premium he put in. This is how much cash value he grew. So in other words, he made $2,090. Now, to figure the return out, what you would do is you would take $2,090 and you would divide it, I'm just going to draw it like this, by the $25,000 you put in. This would be called a cash on cash return. How much money did I make on my $25,000 deposit? There's also cumulative return, which we don't need to do here because remember, every year we put money in, what are we doing? Taking it back out. So cash on cash is the number we want. So divide that into 25,000. Anyone got the math? Christy, did you do it?
No.
Okay. Well, here, I'm going to give it to you. 8.36%. That's how much you made this year.
Wow.
Now, remember, the insurance company is going to take some of that back, 5.5%. But do you see what you did here? You made a spread. 836 minus 5 is a spread, just like a bank. All right, now we're going to wrap this thing up with a pretty little bow tie here.
Can I interrupt you there?
Please, please.
The other loans that you were paying are on the amortized schedule.
Correct.
So when you're showing that we're paying a 5% simple interest, isn't it really more than 8.36%?
It is, but I'm trying to make my case look terrible here. I'm giving you a
Okay.
terrible policy design. I'm not doing the math right for the loans. Like I'm trying to make this look bad, but show you how the process is what works here.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
and the other thing we haven't done up to this point, and it's important to kind of note this right now, is we have not paid back the loan to the insurance company at all. So all this money that we've taken out of all these loans we've taken from the insurance company, we have not paid them back any of that money. Okay. We have just taken the money that we've created by paying off third-party debts and saved it in a bank account. In general practice, and what we would teach with our implementation team, we would never do it this way. But for teaching it, this is a really solid way to do it. But what I'm doing by teaching it the wrong way here is I'm literally doing what Christy just, said. She says, Chris, you're showing less than the chiropractor is actually making. Absolutely correct. So I'm not giving the chiropractor the benefit of anything. I'm literally letting the bank hang on to the money every year, all year long, instead of putting it back into the policy, which we would never do that. Anyway, I don't want to confuse anybody. So right here, fifth year, put in 25, take out 27, which we now know is an 8.36% cash on cash return. Plus we were saving 36.77 throughout the year in the bank account. So we have 44 grand. So we have 71,225 liquid. We're going to take that. And in the fifth year, we're going to pay off the condo and we're going to pay down our principal mortgage. So to do that, now we are only in 5 years in, the end of the fifth year, we're paying $1,221 a month to the mortgage and we're saving $4,556. The chiropractor's more than thrilled at this point. But now we got to finish this off. We can't keep the house mortgage. We got to pay it off. So we're going to go into the sixth year. Now, something weird happens in the sixth year. Now, for all of you just listening, this would not happen in today's times because this was done like a decade ago. In today's world, it would take 10 years for this to happen. But back then, in the sixth year, this chiropractor hit his IRS limit on his first policy. He was no longer allowed to deposit $25,000. The insurance company would not let him put 25 grand in. And if he put it in, his policy would become taxable by IRS code. So the amount he could put in was 10 grand. Okay. So he puts $10,000 in that policy. He's a little upset, but he puts 10 grand in and immediately takes a loan in the first 30 days, but he takes out $13,092. Now, remember, I showed you how to do the math. This is simple. Put 10 in, take 13 out. What is your cash on cash return? All of you should be able to do this without a calculator. It's over 30%. So we went from 8% to over 30%. But there's another thing that happened here that I didn't show you behind the scenes. We dropped the term rider. We got rid of a term rider that was on the policy, which reduced the cost, which is what jumped that return on your money because we didn't need the term rider anymore. So the chiropractor is so thrilled that he put 10 in and took 13 out. He's like, listen, I want to continue putting that 25,000 in. This is so good. So he goes out and he opens a second policy. We call this a second branch office because we're thinking like a bank. And there's not a bank that has just one branch office. So he puts 25 grand in the second policy, immediately takes 14,000 out. Remember, he was saving 4,556 in that bank account every month. So he's got 54,678. So if we add the policy one loan, 1392, to the policy two loan, 14,863, plus the bank account balance, he's got $82,633 liquid, to which he owes $76,450. Pays off his mortgage. He now owes no one anything. He now is saving $5,777. Now I can come back to you, Christy. What would he do with that $5,777 a month that's going into a bank account?
Put it back into his own policy?
Yeah, pay down the loan on the policy so that he stops paying the insurance company interest on the loan. So that's what he does. Instead of keeping this 5,777 in a bank, he just fills a form out, has that 5,777 a month go to the policy, reducing the loan, increasing his spread to be even more than it is because he's paying a loan down. So now remember, one is going down, one is going up, all with newfound money that he didn't work harder for, didn't take on any risk for, and didn't have to work a lick of overtime for. He just followed a process. So this was a lot of stuff. And I want all of you to know that our company, what we have is what's called an implementation team and lots of tools. Software, but we call them tools, that does all this work for our clients. So some of you were like, I never would be able to track all that. I'd never be able to do all that. Listen, you wouldn't have to. All you would have had to have done in that entire thing, just like the chiropractor, is gone to your bank and opened a second bank account. We would have handled the rest. And here's proof. This is what it looked like. This is the spreadsheet we built for him and helped manage for him. Remember, here's that loan. Here was the amount he took out. He paid off debts, recaptured the money. We did all that for him. Whoops. We did all that for him over and over again. And we kept meeting with him to make sure he was on pace. Because sometimes somebody will get off pace. They'll be like, hey, I can't, keep saving that much. I need so much for my daughter's school or whatever. We would adjust the map. And we would be able to show you. It's just like a GPS in your car. It's just a map for your money. And we basically can self-adjust this thing any which way. So I'm going to stop sharing here because that right there is the end of kind of where I want to go today because we're a little over time. But I showed you how to get all the money back for every car. I showed you how to pay off debt and recycle and recapture all the money. And I showed you real examples. All that was accomplished by changing where the money went and adding one step.
Okay, so I don't know who in the room is wanting to start running. This is just amazing information. And I've been the whole time, when I wasn't trying to get TikTok straightened out, I have been reading the comments, and everybody is as intrigued as I was when I first heard this, and as I am right now hearing it again. So there's a bunch of questions if you want to answer some.
Yeah, let's hit them. Let's hit them.
I put the link up there so that anybody that wants to go through your team, your website or whatever to look at more information, you've got the 90-minute video there. They can schedule a consultation as well. But as far as the legacy workbook, we have a lot of people asking for that. How do they get that?
So here's how you get it. Let me actually just show you. So we kind of got caught off guard. We did 2 videos. This one right here, okay, create wealth. And this is that video that me and you did. Okay, this is on my YouTube. And then this one here, both of these should, sorry. Both of these in the description, there is a link or will be tomorrow that will allow you to go on there and get the legacy workbook. The other thing you can do is you can go on to this video that I did with Christy right here. Christy has it on hers too. And you can just type in legacy in the comments on it. And then what we'll do is we will send you the legacy. Here, let me see if it's on this one because it might be. Sorry. I had my team do this because I just couldn't believe the overwhelming amount of people that were asking for it. So no matter what, one of these 2 videos that are the 2 newest videos on my YouTube will have that legacy workbook link on there. And Christy, I know I gave you the link. I don't know if you put it up or maybe you can put it on there, but that's how you're going to get the legacy workbook is just go to the YouTube channels, mine or Christy's, fantastic. And we'll have that link up there on the most current video. So you can grab a copy of that.
Okay. I think I had a PDF form, so I can't share.
I'll give you a link. We created a link for it. So I'll give you that.
Okay. So let's talk about some more. Somebody says, how much do I need to start?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it's kind of a moving target, but I always say 10 times your age. So I'm 47 years old, add a 0 behind 47, and that's 470. That would be my minimum monthly deposit to make this work. So take your age, add a 0 behind it. That's the monthly amount you'd have to save for this to work effectively.
Okay. Another question is, where do I get a policy like this? And I'm going to put a little thingy in here that says, please be careful about going to any insurance agent and asking about this. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I went to local agents in my area. I had been working with them on other things, and they, oh yeah, we know what you're talking about. We'll take care of it. Well, because I wasn't educated, went and allowed 4 policies to be set up, and that was on one on each of my daughters, and then one on myself. And now I'm getting ready to get rid of those policies because I have found their IULs and a waste of my money. And I am pretty upset over that. So when I say be careful about who you go to, most, and I'm not going to get a percent on it, but I would say most insurance agents have no idea what you're talking about when you come to them for these specially designed policies for cash value. What do you say about that, Chris?
No, you're absolutely correct. These are very specialized. And again, I mentioned it earlier, I'll say it again. There's very few agents or advisors that want to take a cut in their pay of 60 to 90%. I mean, let's be honest. But they'll all tell you that they can do it because they don't want to lose your business, but they
Right.
won't know how to, or they will do it wrong and you won't know the difference until you get your policy and you'll be like, wait a second, this looks nothing like what Chris showed. That Chris guy must be a scam artist. No, 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 no. We do this exactly the right way, how it works. And actually, the numbers you were looking at on that screen are way worse than what they actually would be. But you just got to just have us do it. That's the easiest way. I mean, let me just show you one other thing too, because this is really what numbers will look like. I know this one's got, this is just one I had up here. This person puts 110,000, so 100 dump in and 11,000 a year. Look at how much money they have. They have 101,000 available in the first year. That's 91.74%. The second year they put 11 grand in. Remember the chiropractor? Took them 3 years, but the second year puts 11 in, takes more than 11 out, takes 11,729. So that's 6.63% cash on cash return in the second year. And it just gets better and better, 12 and 18 and 25. I just wanted to show this because this is a real illustration that we put together. This one's a joke around name because we use it for example, Speedy Gonzalez, but this is more reflective of what policies we designed today look like.
Okay, so I get a lot of questions, which I kind of know the answer to just because I've been talking to you so much lately about these. But, I'm 53. And so people are like, yeah, but, I'm in my 50s, I'm in my 60s. Is it worth, my time for me to get a policy? I know what I say to them. What would your answer be to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the majority of our clients are around that age because that's when people are really starting to think about this. So
Exactly.
the answer is yes. I don't know how else to put it. You put less when you're buying life insurance, I know age really matters, but remember, we're building a policy that's heavy in cash value, light on death benefits. So the death benefit and the costs around the cost of insurance are a lot less of a factor. So age isn't as big of age is definitely not as big of an issue. And if you're in your 50s or 60s, you're in the sweet spot. It's not until you get in your 70s that we start having issues with cash value growth.
And I agree because, like I said, I've been doing for the last 2 years policies with your company, and I can see, I mean, I am super excited, and I think that everybody needs to at least inquire to learn more. And that's what my whole channel is about, is getting people educated, just educated, so that you can make decisions. Because if you don't know what you're even talking about, never heard of this, then you can't make a decision. But another answer that I give to people is, if you have health conditions and you can't get the policy, or you feel like you're too old, you can get these on your children, your grandchildren. I mean, that's super awesome, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I just shared this screen because I wanted you to see that example I gave you. It was just random. I just had it on my screen. That person was 55. So what,
There you
were they
go.
too old? Did these numbers not make sense because they're 55? I think not.
No, and Anna, you're asking that question. 63? I don't think so. I think that you're at the prime age. And like Chris said, it's like that we're getting to the age that now it's important. If we've got 20, 30-year-olds on here, they may be thinking, oh, I've got plenty of time to do that. But I have them on myself. I have two on my 14-year-old, and then I have one on my adult daughters. And I have, what did I say I had? I have one, two, I'm getting ready to start my fourth one on
Yeah,
myself.
you are.
And I think that I'm going to keep doing this because, just like you showed, when you're making the payments back to yourself instead of to that company, that's really hard to comprehend, just because you're like, wait a minute, all of that money is free and clear to me, and I'm just putting it back in my pocket. I think that's what makes it too good to be true. But this is actually what you're doing.
100%. Couldn't have said it any better.
Wow. So anyway, I get excited. Like I said, I get to talking fast because I'm like, I just feel like that this has been, in my age, this has been something that has been just eye-opening because we're all going to die, just like you said earlier. And the point is we want to make sure that our children, our spouses are taken care of when we pass on. But to know that we can use that money right now while we're here, that's crazy because you cannot do that with a 401k. I cannot do that with a Roth. I mean, you're talking about if I take a loan, if now correct me if I'm wrong, but if I take a loan off of my 401k, I can only take half and half up to 100,000, right?
Yep.
So if I take the money out, am I wrong in thinking that I'm no longer drawing the percent in that account because I took the funds out of the account?
No, you're correct.
So, okay, well, am I just taking
Here's
over?
the, no, that's this. You just brought up a really good point. I never really talk about this, like, because there are people out there that they just want life insurance, and a lot of those folks, they're just going to buy term because it's cheap. But is term really cheap, or is it the most expensive life insurance you'll ever buy? Well, if you look up the statistics, it's the most expensive life insurance you'll ever buy. Not because the premiums are the most expensive, but because less than 2% of them ever are paid out on, because you outlive your term. So just look right here. This column, this is really neat. Christy, I've never brought this up in any of your trainings, and maybe we should. See this number here? This is your drawdown. So this is taking cumulatively how much money you put into premiums versus how much money you have available in cash value. So if you look at your cash value, which is this column right here, okay, if you take your cash value minus the amount of total premiums you put in, that's this. So yes, in the first year, it cost you $9,000, $9,172 to have a $1.3 million death benefit. Term insurance probably would cost exactly the same for a 55-year-old, but let's just say it was a little less. But hold on, the second year, it only cost you $8,000. The third year, it cost you $7,000, then $5,000. And then in the fifth year, your cost for all of that death benefit, which is now $1.4 million of death benefit, was $2,326. Please tell me anywhere where a 59-year-old can go buy a term policy for $1.4 million for $2,326.
Not,
Doesn't exist. You
yeah,
can't.
not most.
But hold on. One more year. In one more year, in the sixth year, you have made money. And for the rest of your life, just look at the math. For the rest of your life, right here, there will never be a day that you're paying for life insurance. Your life insurance, your death benefit coverage now becomes your savings mechanism. You're actually making money. So there's not a term insurance policy that ever can make you money until you die. Here, you're actually, and that's the math, $1,266 you made in the, the sixth year of owning this whole life policy. You made money for having a death benefit and all your money liquid. Like you have way more money than what you put in, and you've been able to use it every single year. This is the thing that I try to explain to people where they're told, oh, whole life is the worst, life insurance you can buy. How? It's the only life insurance you can buy that you're really not going to have to pay for the life insurance. And there is the mathematical proof. I can't make it any more clear. That's math.
Wow, that's
I've
crazy.
never
No,
shown that to you.
I've never heard that before. So now I'm even more super excited. So I am going to answer a couple of questions here because somebody is saying, hey, so you have to have a huge savings already to get started. Every example shows a giant initial deposit. Well, I want to talk about how I fund my life policies. I too was broke as hell, right? You all heard what I talk about when I talk about coming into Velocity Banking and what a struggle I was having financially. When I learned about the first policies that I told you about, the agent told me he could do them and he didn't, and he did them incorrectly and blah, blah, blah. I literally take my line of credit and I do my chunk. Now, I'm not talking about taking a HELOC. We don't need $100,000 to deposit into these life policies. My very first was $10,000. And how did I pay for the $10,000? I chunked it out of my line of credit. I had a $15,000 line. I took 10,000, put into this policy. And how did I pay that back? Just like I teach every day on this channel. Pay yourself back. Your income goes in, your expenses come out. You're working that down very quickly. Some people don't even pay for the first $10,000 basically, or 5,000 or 20,000, whatever your income will allow. Because when you make the chunk from your line of credit into the policy and you put your income back into the policy, if you do a $5,000 chunk, you make $5,000 a month. That goes right back into the policy. How much interest do you think you're going to pay by putting your money right back into your HELOC, right? I mean, how you're not going to pay much interest at all. So people are concerned about, well, how am I going to get these policies started? I'm telling you how I got them started, and I'm telling you how I make my annual deposits right now. Is I take off of a line of credit. Now, is that something that you should probably, yes, that is something you should probably think about. I'm being transparent. I'm not going to sit up here and act like that, oh, I had $20,000 sitting in the bank and I didn't know what to do with it. No, 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 no. I am you. I have been to where I didn't have a dollar in the bank, much less 5 or 10,000, right? So just look at your lines of credit. And if you're out of debt, especially look at what you can do. And yes, use a line of credit if you want to. That is the bank you're leveraging to fund these policies that you're going to pay back to the bank. So nobody's losing here. You're just getting what you need up front while you're using the bank like they use us every single day. There's nobody listening that hasn't been used and abused by the banking system. So, Chris, you just heard me say that out loud. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that person maybe wasn't here in the beginning because they missed me saying that I started mine with $240 a month. So yes, I mean, when we're doing these trainings, I'm showing you 10,000 and 25,000, but what you're failing to see is like that's not everybody. These are just examples. I mean, a lot of people are doing $200, $300 a month that they're saving, but they are all saving money, and that's the difference. So like there are people that just aren't saving anything
Right.
they're living paycheck to paycheck, and that's where your program and velocity banking really helps them get out because now they use the HELOC. But for the infinite banking, yes, you can use the HELOC to fund it, and it's very effective. But I just want to be clear, like, if somebody isn't saving money, then yeah, this program really will be hard to make it work. You'll have to kind of take a couple steps pre-IBC, pre-infinite banking before you can do this. And, I'm not, we don't always show big numbers. It's just, these are just the examples that we use.
Yeah.
But you're right.
And,
Everything you said.
and I agree. But just talking from the lower level that I've certainly lived at, I wanted to start these. I wanted to get out of debt. I wanted to be better with my money. Velocity banking is what came in and changed everything up. So not only do you get out of debt, but you have enough room in your line of credit to actually do what you need to do financially in every way. And that's why I feel like that it's so important that everybody gets the information is if you are saving $300 a month, if you're doing it, great. Take the chunk if you want to, put it into the policy or do it monthly like he's talking about. You're going to be putting that back into whatever line of credit you use anyway. You're going to be saving that up anyway. The point is that this is a savings account that's growing at compound interest in my mind. And just like my account at the bank, I can use it when I need to use it. And it comes with this life or this death benefit that's beautiful as well. So I can't see, I keep digging for negatives because I'm like, there has to be a negative in here somewhere. And at first I thought it was the premiums at first because I'm like, me being 53 years old, I'm going to have high premiums. But when you just showed me that, It was wonderful before you just showed me how, after the 6th year there or whatever, that you're not even going to be paying premiums. I'm still looking for negatives, Chris, and I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, the only negatives are the first couple of years, but I mean, building wealth is a marathon. I mean, if anyone's looking for get rich quick, things, this is just not it. Because as you saw from every example, it took a couple of years for the policy to become efficient. And that's always the case because you do have a cost. There is a cost of insurance,
Right.
although much lower, it's there. So, that's the only draw. That's the only negative. Or maybe the fact that maybe some people just medically can't qualify for this, but find another body to insure, like you mentioned.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So let's just go a minute deeper if you've got a second, and
Yep.
let's talk about PMC. I don't know that anybody listening even knows what the Private Money Club is, but that's also a business of yours. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it's very simple. I mean, in this journey that I've been on, I mean, I have identified that there are two types of people in the world. There are people who have money, and those people have a problem. And that is that they want to make more money. And then I've realized on the other side, which I've been on both sides, the other side were people that needed money. And the problem that they had is they needed money to make more money. So with that being said, what I did, remember that circle I drew earlier? So let me just show you how Private Money Club came to be. It was very simple. On a napkin, I literally came up with this realization. There's two people. These people over here have money, but want to make more. These people over here need money to make money. So they need to make, okay? And all I did is I said, there's got to be a way to bring these people with have together with these people that need money. And the place I started with this and what the site is primarily functioning on is real estate, because it was just an easy place for me to start because people are either investing in real estate or buying real estate. And I said, all right, if people want to buy real estate, they're borrowing from a bank, but banks are giving people really hard times on investment properties. So I said, there's lots of these people out here that have money. And all I did is I said, I'm going to bring them together so that people that have money can fund people that need money, and people that need money can pay payments to people that have money. And therefore I solve both problems. And when I did that circle, it came to me just like a dating site. I started thinking, okay, dating site is there's men and there's women. They come together in this community called the dating site. They chat, they talk, they build relationships, they look at people's stats and everything else, and they find compatibility, and the software helps them do that. And then they go out and have dates, maybe get married, maybe have kids, but whatever. This is no different. I literally created the exact same software. It took years of coding and years of building this to create this, but I literally have effectively created the first of its kind, a dating site for money. I'll show you what it looks like real quick. It's totally free. Anyone can go on there and use it. This is Private Money Club. This is my profile. So you can come in here, and what you're going to do is you're just going to go in and you're going to create your profile, whatever you want. You can post any photos you want, just like Facebook, Instagram. You can go in there, look at your deals, reviews. But you're not going to use this as like a social media site. You're going to use this as a site where you're going to come to make money. I'll give you an example. This is a community page. So everybody posts here. You can see here, this guy's an ex-MBA player. So he's a passive investor. So he's doing a training. This person here is looking for private money lending partners. I have no idea what this one is, but people are just posting stuff, different deals that they have. That's what it's for, a little family photo. But then if somebody has a deal that they need to raise money for, they post it on here. And if my computer's internet catches on, you'll see the photos. There we go. So this is a beachfront one. So I'm going to screw this name up, but my lease Max is looking for $100,000 for this. Okay, it's a $700,000 property, 10%. So they're looking to raise 10,000. They're willing to pay 10% interest for 12 months. So if I was interested in that, I'd click on it. I'd come in here. I can see the couple that's raising the money. I can read about them. I can come down, see where it's at, and then I can just start talking with them if I wanted to. I could follow them, and then I could message them. I can do all of this, but you're building a relationship. We created a very robust set of tools and education so people can educate themselves. We created the first of its kind, which are certification courses. Now, these are pay to play. So you can see 10,000 points, which works out to be about $1,000, okay? So we do everything in here with the credit shop, which is right here. When you join, you can basically upload points. Think of it like Starbucks app. You use your credit card or deposit money in here, buys points, not dollar for dollar. And then you can use those points to go out and you can buy things. I could show you what I've been buying. I bought some certification courses, and that gets me these here. So you can see I bought a certified borrower course, certified lender course, and I'm also a premier member, which means I wanted more storage to put more photos and everything on my site. All these are pay for play, but everything else that I showed you is totally free. You can come on, communicate, you can post deals, you can go in and look at members. Like, let's see how many, and here, this is for security, but you can go in and like Jill, I know Jill well, so she's a really good lender on the site. But you could just go in and you could just search people, just punch in M. It'll pull up everybody that starts with M. Sorry, my computer's going slow because we're on this Zoom here. But nonetheless, you can kind of get the drift. Maybe it's making me punch in a few more. But anyway, so that's how the site works. And you just go on and you just build relationships. To date, actually, let me go back over here. Right now, as of this recording, we have 7,948 members. So there's 7,900 people. Some are lenders, some are borrowers you can communicate with. You can build your own groups. So there's tons of groups on here, all different things. You just kind of go on, you just look at them, you find the one that works for you, what one you want, mobile home, long-term rentals, syndications. Some of these are ours, short-term rentals. I mean, I don't know. They just keep going. It's like any other social media site, but that's Private Money Club. And all of you can go on to privatemoneyclub.com, create your profile. Doesn't cost you a penny. Just go on, explore it, use it. If you get serious about it, you're probably going to want to be a certified member. If you get really serious, you're going to want to be a premier member and have more storage for more notifications and all sorts of photos. But anyway, I'm going to shut up. That's what we created.
That is awesome. And I have clients that's using the PMC and they are doing very well with it. Very
It's
well.
phenomenal.
Yes.
Well, there's hundreds of millions of dollars that have been transacted on Private Money Club.
That is
But we don't
awesome.
get in the middle of your deal. Like, we don't get in the middle. It's just you and the lender, or the lender and the borrower. Like, we don't get in the middle. It's just like it's kind of like one of those things. You ready, go. And then we just get out of the ring. Like, that's it.
Well, I think that it is a genius creation because I see where you're helping, or not you helping, but you're bringing people together, I guess, to do these transactions. And it's just been awesome. So does anybody have any questions about that before we finish up here? I know Chris has got to be exhausted. This is a Friday evening. He could be with his little girl right now, and I've got him stuck on YouTube. But I just wanted to bring him on to show you guys what it looks like when you are using your money that is really, really going to change your life the right way. You know what? Did Chris help you get your policy? He absolutely did. He has done, like I said, I'm working on 3 this week. I have the pinhole to prove it. So the point is that I don't bring anything to you guys that I don't do myself. And I'm very transparent with that. And if I thought anything was a negative, I would tell you. I'm still learning. I'm not going to say I'm not. But I told you before, 2 years ago, I started 3 policies through Chris Nagel's team. And let me tell you about his team. They are awesome. I mean, you're talking about a team that walks with you, holding your hand literally through this process. And not only that, they get in touch with me at least once a month to say, hey, is there something you need to do with your policy? Do you have any questions? I get a text and I'm like, who is this person? And it occurs to me it's Chris Nagel's team. And I mean, how awesome is that you have somebody walking through you on this stuff? I think it's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yes.
that's a big piece of it.
Yeah, they're good. They're very good. And I talked to one of your guys tonight and I talked to one of your guys last night. So we are becoming friends. So they're wanting to know, yes, the PMC is free. You don't have to pay to go on there and look. No. We've got I believe she said she was 70 and she's getting ready to do her first loan on her policy. So that should answer the question for whoever was talking about
There
being
you
old.
go.
Margaret says the implementation team is amazing. Um, I'm glad, Gab. Gab, you have had so much to say tonight, so I have a feeling that you are really learning, and that makes me very happy that we're touching people the way we are. Derek says I'll be reaching out to Chris really soon. Been watching you for a few months, Chris, so people's watching. I get so many good results from, everybody. I think I told everybody on the live I did earlier today. The first thing I do when I get up is look at my YouTube. And I didn't used to do that, but I have such inspiring comments that I do my Bible of a morning, but when I first set up and I'm like just getting woke up, I'll pull up YouTube just to read comments because everyone is so precious. And I think that I've learned that with this YouTube channel that there are really, really good people in the world and they're just like me. I just feel like I could be best friends with everybody that's on the YouTube channel as a subscriber. And when we did the conference in Orlando, I don't know if you had this experience, but um, I felt like I was in a room full of friends. I just felt like that I knew everybody and everybody was so sweet and everybody was so grateful for what we're teaching. And you just can't beat that. I mean, this is the blessing above blessings to be able to work with people every single day and to get testimonies back. I'm sure you do. Just testimony after testimony about, I was lost before I found this channel and how to handle my money. And that just makes me excited to wake up. I mean, it really does. And I know you feel the same way because
Oh,
you're at work way before I
I
get
mean, look
started.
at we're here at 9:54, well, East Coast time, 9:54 p.m. doing this. So I
Right.
mean, come on. Everything you just said is the truth.
Yeah. So, guys, I'm going to let Chris go. I just appreciate you guys reaching out tonight and hanging around. We had a good average on people watching tonight. This video I know is going to go nuts because anytime I have Chris and Ogle on, it does. And I just appreciate you guys taking the time to, reach out, say hello, ask questions. If you have any questions or comments after we leave here today, you feel free to leave them below. I always go back and check all of the comments because I just enjoy reading what you say most of all, but I like to make sure that you're getting your questions answered. Make sure nothing else is on here. See, everybody said you're so inspirational. I mean, I'm just so excited to be doing what I do. It's just a blessing. And, I just want to thank the Lord above all for that. I thank him for you, Chris, every day. I think I wrote you this morning and told you
You
that.
did.
I wake up sometimes and Chris Noggle is on my mind, and I'm like, Lord, I just want to thank you for him, and I just want to reach out and let you know how precious you are to me, and just how I can see your heart and how that you want to help people, and that just makes me teary-eyed because you're such a precious soul, and I hope that you know that and you feel that because I feel like you're doing a great thing for the American people, especially with sharing what you do. So thank you.
Giving, I'll just keep giving. I mean, and what we were talking about this morning is, seek and you shall find, knock and the
Amen.
door shall be opened. And that is the truth. And here we are. So hopefully we opened some doors for some folks that really needed it. And, some people that were seeking the truth and the information, and they got that tonight.
That is beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I forgot about that, but yes, we did talk about that. All right, guys, I am going to let you go. You all have a terrific night. Like I said, reach out. I put his link in the chat. You are welcome to go through that link. He's got information there. He has a team that you can schedule with, and they are superb. So I hope you get to know them. And you know what, guys? I guess we're going to let you go, and you have a great rest of your evening.